I don't know what's doing, but it doesn't matter. You and I are going to rock it. Are you ready?
I am.
All right, well, let's do this. Welcome back to the Positive Side Podcast. Glad you're tuning in. Today is a very special episode. Now, once again, I'm Jeremy Todd. Thank you for everybody listening to all around the world. Wednesday interviews have been fantastic. It's been great. Just had my buddy Johnny on just a little bit ago. He'll be out probably tomorrow or the next day. Make sure you check him out. But today is let me back up a second. One of the reasons I love doing a podcast, and one of the reasons I love the message that I talk about and I spread, is the people I get to meet, but the lives that we get to change. And people come into my life for a certain reason, and I think my guest today is going to be in my life for a long, long time. First time I met her was on another stream with my buddy Jesse Cole, and it's like when you meet somebody that I feel like I've known my entire life, and that's how I felt with Keshia. Keshia wrote a book called "Broken for Life: Embrace God's Best to Live a Victorious Life," and I met her a little bit that night, and I heard her talk about her book, and I heard the passion, and she's just such an inspiration. She means so much to me in such a short period of time. But again, people come into your life at a specific time for a specific reason, and maybe at that time I didn't know why, and I didn't know what the reason was, but again, and again, full disclosure, I'm an agnostic at best, but I've got so much respect and so much love for Keshia and her faith. So the first thing, first of all, Keshia, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm really, really full today. So thank you.
Well, what I want you to do, Keshia, is just start out by saying a prayer for us, because I want to make sure the rest goes powerful. And I know you're I know you're a God-fearing woman. I know that your spirituality, your religion is very, very important to you. So start us out with a prayer today, please.
Father God, we thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for your awesome power and your divine timing, oh God. We thank you for your timing, because everything happens in your perfect timing. We thank you for everything that you're manifesting in this season. We thank you for the healing that has first taken place in our lives. And as a result, oh God, you are empowering us to empower others, oh God. And we thank you, oh God, for giving us power and authority, oh God, over every area of our life. And we give you honor, glory, and praise. Now we thank and praise you, oh God, for touching every ear of the hearer, of every hearer on this show, oh God. We ask that something shall be said, oh God, that shall encourage, that shall uplift, and maybe even deliver, oh God. But we thank and praise you for this opportunity. Now let the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart be acceptable in your sight, oh God, our strength and our Redeemer, in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Obviously very, very beautiful. I just want to start talking about your book, because, one of the reasons we met was, let's just start from there and talk about the book. And again, Broken for Battle, Embrace God's Best to Live a Victorious Life. You and I wrote a book, use the same coach, but let's talk about your book, because I think it's very, very powerful, very, very inspirational, but I think it's very, very emotional, because you and I had a lot of the same things that in common as growing up. So I just need to quit talking. Tell us a little. Tell us a little bit about.
This is good.
Tell us a little bit about the book and why you wrote the book.
Okay. So I'll show you here. This is the cover.
It's a beautiful cover.
Broken for Battle, and Broken for Battle started with a prayer. It started with a prayer because I am knocking on 50's door, and I had no idea why God created me. Why am I on this earth? What did you specifically design Keshia for? What is my contribution to society? And so when I began to pray, many of the things that God pointed me to were my childhood, a lot of broken areas in my life, a lot of trauma, pain, depression, just all of those kind of things. And so me praying for my purpose led me to write Broken for Battle. And it really is a story about, it's a true story about my life. It's about depression. It's about molestation. It's about having trust issues, low self-esteem, being stuck. It touches a little bit of all of that in Broken for Battle in my book. And so what God began to reveal through me writing was that each and every broken area in my life, every thing that I didn't understand in my life, that I perceived wrong, all of those things were broken on purpose, for battle, for me to battle against the spirit of heaviness, the spirit of darkness, the spirit of depression, all of those spirits that come, and sometimes we're not able to figure out how to break loose of those things. And so Broken for Battle was just a prayer. It started with a prayer of me praying, what is Keshia's purpose? And so through this book, God is unfolding my purpose, and he is healing every single area. And so I'm learning every day. Like my book just came out on Thanksgiving, this past Thanksgiving. It was released on Thanksgiving Day. And that's only a few months from now. And so I'm learning in this short period of time, so many things are starting to unfold. So many doors are starting to open. People are starting to get the book, and I'm starting to get emails, calls, text messages of people that said they couldn't put the book down. It was the absolute best book they've ever read. They laughed, they cried. Some were healed, some were touched, some eyes were open to give them clarity of some things that they never understood either. So it's been just a total blessing to write this book.
Well, first of all, I'm just so proud of you for writing the book, because we've talked about this, and the growth that comes from the book, and it's just, again, I love the title. I love your story. I love everything about it. And I know it takes a lot of courage to come on a show like this, to really to be open and talk about some of these things. But you mentioned Broken for Battle, or obviously the name is Broken for Battle, but you mentioned that sometimes we're broken on purpose. And it's interesting, because what would you say to somebody right now that is maybe in the middle of being broken? If someone's, maybe addicted to drugs, or going through a abusive relationship, and they're completely broken, what do you say to somebody like that? I mean, I know it's a way to say, hey, well, I turn to God and ask God, why is this happening to me? And I'm just curious of your mindset and your thoughts and your expressions. What would you say to somebody that is in the middle of it right now?
Mhm. Um, I would first say, hang on. And no matter how hopeless, I mean, it does not matter how hopeless you feel, whatever you do, don't give up. Just keep going. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But whatever you do, just please keep going. There's so much greatness that comes after after a tragedy, after any type of adversity. That's an opportunity for something great to happen. And so I can give you a perfect example from my book. If we give up, we don't offer or afford ourselves the opportunity of all the great things that can happen in our lives, through our lives, if we give up. And so we have to keep going. So in those low times, I had to find something that meant something more than money, more than material things. Find something that matters, something that means something to you from the core of your soul. Find something that matters and hold on to that as your token of, when I get through this, when I make it through, I'm gonna, and you fill in the blank wherever you need to. For me, I have a son that was adopted at birth. And if I let depression win, if I had have given up, I would have never offered myself the opportunity to ever meet him. And so I would like to use this opportunity, Jeremy, to share with the listeners that in my book, there's a section that is entitled Baby Devin is Gone. And that chapter is dedicated to a son that I gave up for adoption at birth. And I never met him after I left that hospital. And it was 25 years ago. And after writing Broken for Battle, there was a lady that read my book and she said that she was so touched by my book, she was gonna commit to helping me find my son. And this Monday, I woke up to a text message saying, I am your birth son. And I just met and was connected to my birth son. And I would like to show you guys, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Isn't that great? That's amazing. How beautiful.
This is my son, my baby that I never saw again when I left that hospital. And we are now connected. This is such a tremendous, huge blessing. And it is changing my life. It's changing the lives of people that I'm sharing my story with. And I'm just so over. I've been crying since Monday and I haven't been able to stop. So I've been trying to keep it together so I can at least talk here tonight.
Well, again, I mean, it's so emotional and so beautiful and so powerful. You told me you're creeping up on age 50, and you decided to write this book for whatever reason now over all these years, and you talk about not giving up and you're going through these tough times. This is what can happen when you don't give up. This is, and again, this is the higher being. This is God's way of saying, yes, Keshia, you didn't. Your reward is here now. It's your time, and we don't know when that time is. 25 years later. I mean, imagine where you are if you're 25 years old right now, going through these things, and you think your life is over and it can't get any worse, and I just want to give up. And then you look at your story and how powerful it is and how many things you've struggled through, and now is the time. And I just it's a little overwhelming. It's a little emotional for me. I mean, I can't imagine family and friends and what you're going through. This is crazy. This is so crazy that this happened to you at this time, because
God's timing is so perfect. It's his timing is perfect. Like, we never understand his timing. And sometimes we wish for things for so long, or it seems like an eternity we can want and desire things, but it's not until we tap into God's timing and our purpose that his timing and our purpose can cross. And I truly believe what you said, that this is my season. I am in a season of healing and harvest. And you're right, this is my season.
why? I just keep thinking to myself, like why? Like, why now? Like, why not 10 years ago? Why not 10 years from now? Why? I mean, this is the stuff that goes through my head when you're talking about God, and maybe there's no answer. Maybe that's what it is. And maybe, I think sometimes when you try and search for an answer and there is no answer, the answer is the answer, if that makes any sense at all. But it's overwhelming to me. I'm just almost, it's hard for me to say, but I'm almost speechless and without words. Because when you sent me that message today, I've been thinking about it since I read the message. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is unbelievable.
I know
that this has happened to you in your life. And I'm just so grateful that this happened to you. And I can't imagine the life and the things that you're going through your head. So let's talk about that real quick. Then you find out
if I could right quick before you move forward, I think, I'm not saying that we're going to find out the why to everything, but I think why for me is I wasn't ready 10 years ago. Sometimes we want things really, really bad and we're just not ready. We're not prepared. And no matter how bad you want it, if you're not prepared per se, sometimes it's just waiting for that time of walking into that time of for an example, one of my dreams is to travel, just to travel the world. And I was talking to a friend about traveling, and they say, you're not serious about traveling. And I say, no, really, it's my dream. I would love to travel the world. And so as we were talking about my dreams and traveling, they asked me if I had a passport. And I said, no, I don't.
First step.
So prime example, no matter how bad I dreamed to travel, until I positioned myself and prepared for what it is that I desire, I'm blocked from getting it because I'm just not prepared. So sometimes I believe we want things, but we haven't prepared. It could be preparing mentally, physically, spiritually. It could be in any of those areas, but I think there's a certain level of preparation that happens before we're ready. And I needed to get to a healthy mind space in order to meet my son. I didn't want to meet him depressed. I was depressed then. I wanted to meet him with good energy, with loving energy. And so I believe it didn't happen because I wasn't ready. And so when I began to seek God and ask him for healing and direction in these areas, he began to set the stage and the foundation for all these things to unfold. So I'm grateful for all these doors that are opening.
This may be the most unbelievable story I've ever heard in my entire life. I'm still stunned. I mean, like, because if you hit the rewind button and go back before you started writing the book, like, let's just say a year ago, and I know you had a lot of things already written out before the book got out there. But like you said, the timing, it's unfathomable for me to process this in my own head, because I just I don't understand it. I don't get it, because how in the world does that happen? Like, you write the book and then someone reads the book and helps you find your son, and then this week you find your son and you talk to him for the first time on Facebook today. I mean, this is unbelievable. And I just, what does that feel like? Is it a relief?
It's so euphoric until I don't think it has settled in. I kind of think I went into a little shock. It's so overwhelming. When I wake up in the morning, it's like I rush to my phone, like, was this a dream? Did this really happen? And it is real. So it's so overwhelming.
All right, Keshia, I'm going to put you on Front Street. You ready? This is a big
All righty.
question. This is a big question. What do you say to your son going forward? What do you tell him about your life? What do you tell him about things you've overcome? What are you, like, how proud you are of him, how proud he is of you? I mean, where does this relationship go? And what do you tell your son that you've never met? And and again, these are questions are just flying at me. What are you going to say the first time you actually see him, embrace him? Talk a little bit about that.
I think the first thing I want him to know is the power of love. Love is so powerful until I haven't seen him since I left that hospital. But I've loved him all these years. And I don't know what he was told growing up about his birth mom. I don't know what he thinks or what questions he has. But for me, I want him to know I love him. And that was the foundation and basis of everything, every reason why I felt like I had to give him up for adoption. At the time, I had cervical cancer. I didn't even know I was pregnant. I went in for a surgical emergency surgery from the cancer. I was hemorrhaging, and when I came out of recovery, the doctor said, "Congratulations, the surgery went well, and here's this baby, like, congratulations." And I was literally in this hospital in shock because first I didn't know I was pregnant and I was dealing with the cancer. I had two older kids and I had to give them custody to their dad because I was so sick I couldn't take care of them. And so to face this, and I had just given custody to the kids to their dad, and to face now having this baby and still being sick, I really thought it was the best thing to do. And I've questioned myself, the guilt, the shame that I've suffered for years behind. Did I make the right decision? Did I not? Did I make a decision that hurt somebody else and affected them in a negative way for the rest of their life? Like, these are the things I think of. And so I just want him to know that he's loved. I have a huge family on both my mom and my dad's side of the family. And although I buried my mom last November in 2019, actually, my dad is still alive. I have siblings. I have children, and he has a huge family that obviously they've read the book, and so I've told them about him, and everyone is so ecstatic. They can't wait to meet him, and this is just it's so it's so euphoric. I have a hard time articulating all of the things that's going on mentally and emotionally right now, but I'm just I'm so full. I'm so full because this is like a miracle. It's a miracle.
It is 100% a miracle. I can't believe this. I mean, this is unbelievable. Kesha, you're the best. I love you to death. I am just so freaking proud of you. I've I've never been emotional like this on a podcast ever, and I just want to thank you because you're just such a leader. Your story's so beautiful. It's one of the most inspirational stories I've ever heard in my entire life. I mean, I don't even know what to say to you. It's unbelievable, Kesha. You just blew me away.
So if I could share also, like even mentally, like even trying to process this, I named him at the hospital. I named him Devin Michael Robinson. And I have to tell myself he's not Devin because he was given a name by his adoptive family. And so I didn't know what his name was. I had no idea where to start or what to do. And so um, I do know for certain that this is all the power of God that is opening these doors and manifesting these things. So when he was born, like I kept all of his birth records. I have like his birth certificate. Um, I have his footprints. I kept everything from the hospital. And so it was such a miracle for his life, for him to be born, because um, he was only 3 pounds and 7 ounces when he was born. And the doctors flew like a whole team of doctors in to do a study on me and my baby because they couldn't believe that he was born so early and he didn't need absolutely anything, no oxygen, no nothing. Like he was only 3 pounds. He didn't need an incubator. He didn't need anything at all. And they were like blown away. I was only maybe, they said somewhere between 4 to 5 months pregnant. They had never seen anything like it.
Kesha, you're amazing. Um, this is what the opportunity is, and this is the beautiful thing about your story is now the message that you're going to pass of inspiration and of hope for all the women that are maybe in the same situation that you're in, that may be carrying these burdens of putting their son or daughter up for adoption at a young age and wondering, will I ever get a chance to meet my son or daughter? Or maybe they give up hope, or maybe they just and really this is so relatable to so many people in so many areas of their life. The molestation when you were younger, the cancer, uh, you've never given up, and now here you are.
I
Everything
kind of
comes.
did.
Well, yeah, but I mean, look at
Along
you.
the way somewhere. I feel like I did.
Well, but look at you now. This is what's so inspirational and motivational, and it's all come together now, and your message is just it's like when you take something like with clay and you build this thing, you're molding and all of a sudden it comes together in this beautiful piece of artwork that the lives that you're going to be able to impact. And when I talk about impacting lives, yes, there's motivation, yes, there's inspiration, but you will be saving lives, like
Mm.
multiple, like thousands and thousands of people's lives that you're going to be saving. And I can't describe the impact that your message is going to make. And selfishly, I wanted you on the show so bad, but because of the inspiration, because of the message, I had to get it out to the world. Where now? Where does Keshia go now? Like, what does next week look like? How do you meet your son? And I mean, gosh, I just all these questions in my head. What do you do now?
Um, I kind of asked myself that question too, and um, it's okay to not know. That's my answer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where this is going. What I do know is that I've reconnected and reunited with my son from birth. Um, and that whatever he is open to, um, I'm willing. Um, I want to be mindful that he has to process this too in his own space and time. And I want to be respectful of that. So I don't want to push. I want to be gentle because I want this to be a positive experience. And I just want him to know I love him. If he wants to see me, I'm honored. I've dreamed of it for years. We haven't physically talked yet. We've just text message and Facebook message, but I can't wait to speak with him. I can't wait to see him. In fact, I shared the story with my dad, who was actually there at the hospital the day that he was born. And I will never forget my dad shed tears in the hospital that day, and he begged me with everything in him not to adopt my baby. And he said, please, I don't care. We'll figure it out. Don't do this. And so he was there from the very beginning. And when I told him that we reconnected and reunited, he was so overjoyed. My dad is the director of NBA security for the Detroit Pistons, and he travels all over the world with the Pistons. And so he says, I would be honored if he's willing, if he wants to meet us. I would be honored to be the person responsible for getting you there. I want to go with you. I can't wait to meet my grandson. I want you to tell him that I love him. And I have a big family and everybody's just so excited. We're so excited.
And obviously I'm not blood related to you. I consider myself an instant family member based on this conversation. I can't wait to meet him. I can't wait to hear the stories of encouragement and happiness. And gosh, I just can't. All I'm thinking about is and again, I'm thinking about you, and this burden has been released from your shoulders that you've been carrying around for your whole life. I can't imagine what it's like waking up in the morning now. I can't imagine how much brighter the sun is, how much you notice things differently because all of that burden is now gone. What does your life look like going forward? That I am so excited about to see where this goes, and I'm just so proud of you. I love you to death.
I
so proud
thank
of you.
God for keeping me and from everything. If I had have given up, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today. I couldn't share this message if I had have given up. I couldn't, I wouldn't, I couldn't meet him. I couldn't do any of these things if I had have given up. And so in your low of lows, it's just knowing no matter what storm comes your way, no storm, just think about it in the natural, no storm can last forever. At some point, no matter how long the storm is, it has to end. No season or storm lasts forever. And so no matter how dark it is, no matter how low you are, no matter how depressed you are, no matter how hopeless you are, just hang on. Like when you hang on, even that amount is just a small, tiny mustard seed of faith. And do you think like the Almighty God would allow you to reach for him and hope for help and rescue, and you really believe that in your heart, like not you're just saying it and you don't believe it, but you would really believe that in your heart, and he wouldn't come show up or deliver you? Like at some point we have to see what part is us and what part is something else. And so through that depression, like just hold on, because help is on the way. He'll send someone from somewhere. You don't know where these people come from or where this help is coming from, but somehow he manages to send something or someone to lift you, to encourage you, to give you just a little ray of hope. Hey, hang on, help is on the way. But if you give up, you don't offer yourself that opportunity. So hang on, just hang on, hang on.
Keshia, again, it's even hard for me to come up with questions for you because I'm just overwhelmed myself. I just can't imagine, like, if anyone listened to this message, or if you know anyone going through tough times, this is the podcast, this is the episode, this is the YouTube video that you share with people to get not only Keshia's message out, which she's got a great message and it's in the book, but just the hope and the inspiration. And I guess the biggest thing is hope. Yeah, like the faith that something's going to come through, something's going to pull you through the really, really dark times that you're in, but you can't give up. And it's
Yes.
and hell, right now with all the dark times right now with people, depression's at all-time high, alcoholism, drug abuse is at all-time high, suicide rates are at all-time high. This message is here right now. It's so important to share this message. It's so important to give it up, get it out to anybody you know that is struggling for that hope and for that inspiration. Keshia, in all my interviews, I always go through the 7 questions from John Maxwell, and I'm going to go through these questions with you, and I can't wait to hear your answers. And then towards the end, we're gonna ask you how we can get the book and how we can connect with you on all social media. But John Maxwell writes a book called Good Leaders Ask Great Questions, and there's 7 questions. Do you know these questions?
Mm-mm.
All right, great. It's gonna be great. All right. Especially with the recent events in your life, this is gonna be so good. Keshia Kirksey, author, baller, motivator, inspirational, survivor, fighter, everything. I'm just so proud of you. This is so awesome. Question number 1 is, what is the greatest lesson you've ever learned?
Forgiveness, by far. Forgiveness. We can never move forward or heal if we don't forgive, ever. Forgiveness.
I didn't think you were going to go that way. And again, that just shows you to your character and shows you who you are, because after all the things that you've gone through in your life, and we have this huge opportunity to talk about motivation and not giving up, but you go back to forgiveness. And based on some of the things in your book, forgiveness plays a big part of your life. I want you to talk a little bit more about that, because that's something that I held on in my life for a long, long time. Was I held grudges, and it was my ego talking. It was I'll never forget that ever, and it was holding me back more than holding anyone else back. So talk a little bit about that forgiveness.
We don't see it when we're being offended, when we're being hurt, when we're being abused, when we're being judged, when we're being talked about. We don't see how important forgiveness is. If I could even use your story of being bullied and having anger issues, when a person encounters someone angry, usually they react to the anger, but the anger has a destination. It came from somewhere. And if no one stops to find out, hey, what is this? Like, nobody just wakes up and say, I choose to wake up and be like, I want to be angry today. This is nobody does that. And so to look past, you just like me, you never know what a person has been through. You never know. Yeah. So we look at people and we judge them and we perceive what we think they are or aren't. And usually we're wrong. We're wrong because we've judged them out of a place of offense or a place of judgment. And so it's not a clear view. And so it hinders us from what I've learned is there are certain people assigned to our life. They're destiny people. They are assigned, literally assigned to our lives. And if we allow these things, unforgiveness, to filter our destiny and purpose in these people, we'll never fulfill our purpose. So sometimes a person will offend you, but you were destined to minister to that person or to connect with them, to encourage them, or for some great purpose greater than yourself, bigger than yourself. And so when you don't forgive, you lock yourself in this room and you can't live, you can't be free, because that's a heavy weight and you can't fly with weights on. I never.
That's such a good analogy. You're exactly right. Yeah, you can't fly with weights on. There's no question about it.
It's forgiveness. You got to let it go so you can fly and you can be free and you can grow and you can mature and you can live. And you'll never live and see what greater things life has for you when you don't just let it go. But it's hard to do it because we want to be vindicated when we
Yeah.
hurt, when someone has attacked us or wronged us. We want to be vindicated.
Yeah.
So it's not God's way though. We won't get results, and it won't it won't allow us to walk through those destiny doors.
Yeah. Beautifully said. Question number two is, what are you learning now?
Um, I'm learning now to enjoy the journey. Sometimes we focus on the wrong things a lot of times. And when these whirlwind of issues are going on in our lives, um, just for an example, I spent majority of 2019 caring for my mom who was diagnosed stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And I turned my house into like a hospice haven to care for her. And so during the time that she was ill and I was taking care of her, there were so many difficult things to deal with. And there were also simultaneously a lot of beautiful things going on around me. But if I only focused on the bad things that were going on, the difficult things, then I didn't see those beautiful things. And so, even in the midst of a rocky road, a hurdle, a speed bump, a roadblock, um, look around you because there's something to enjoy. If you get a flat tire on the road and you sit there and you complain about that flat tire until help comes, you won't see the flowers on the side of the road. You don't see the beauty of what's around you when you focus on negativity. And so, yeah.
Yeah, it's where, it's the old saying, where your focus goes, your energy goes, and
Mhm.
it's so right. If you focus on the negativity in your life, you're going to be a negative person, and that's where all your energy is going to go. But if you look at the beautiful side of life, or quote unquote the positive side of life, quick little jab for the show. But that's what you start looking at. You start looking at the positive side of life, and it's but you're so right. Question number three is, how has failure shaped your life?
Um, Failure has shaped my life, I guess, because you learn. When you fail, you learn. And so I always try to look at it. I always tell myself, if it's never a loss as long as you learned something, because whatever valuable lesson you learned, then you didn't walk away empty-handed. You walked away with something. So it's never a loss if you learned a lesson. So I just try to learn the lessons in it.
Well, I think you're being very modest there. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what I thought when I asked you that question. How has failure shaped your life? Every failure in your entire life has brought you to this exact point in your life where you're at right now.
Mm.
You've got a book out. You've met your son. I mean, all these failures have it's like this big, huge failure cone has brought you to this unbelievable spot in your life that you would have never imagined 6 months ago, a year ago.
Absolutely.
And that's what's crazy about this. Like everything you've done has brought you to this point. So how has failure shaped your life? It has completely changed your life.
Hmm.
It has given you all the inspiration in the world that you'll ever need for the rest of your life. And that's what's beautiful about what your life has been and your story. And that's, gosh, I just keep going back to it. I'm just so freaking proud of you. I don't know if I could have gone, I don't know if I would have the mindset that you have right now. If I would have went through those things. I can't even fathom that. So when I asked that question, how has failure shaped your life? You've had, no disrespect, you've had more failure than probably anybody I've ever met in my life. But look at you. You crushed it. And you've got this beautiful book, a beautiful son that's in your life, an amazing family, all the support in the world, your health. It's unbelievable. Your life has been, they should make a movie of your life. That's what they need to do. They need to make a movie of Keshia Kirksey. That would be amazing. So
That's
we're gonna look back at
becoming a
that
common
movie.
response. So that's not the
Yeah,
first time I've heard that. So we're going to have to get on top of that.
it's gonna be all. Hey, can you put me in it some way, somehow? Commit to me right now. If you have a movie, I'm in it. Come on. I would love it. Question number 4 is, who do you know that I should know?
My dad.
Your dad. I would love to meet your dad.
I'm going to say my dad because my dad is a very unique guy. He's a very wise man. He's a very loving man. He's a giving person. Um, And he's so wise. Like I always ask him, say, hey Dad, give me some of that. Like how do I get some more of that? I
Yeah.
need some of that. And I'll just share this. One of the times during one of my bouts of depression, I asked Dad, I said, you travel all around the world and you deal with all kinds of things, like you're like in the the nucleus of a major organization, and you handle all these millionaires every day, and like, how do you go through life not allowing the negative things to consume you? And it was unique, his response. And he told me, I won't go through the whole story because it's kind of lengthy, but he told me a story of a fisherman, and he went through the semantics of saying, it was a master fisherman, and he fished all year round, in the summer and the winter. And of course, when you go out and you fish and you do things in the winter, you need different equipment. So he was talking about this story in reference to the seasons of your life.
Mhm.
And so he said he went out and he started fishing in the wintertime one time, and he fell in the water. And when he first fell in the water, he didn't die instantly. And so my dad began to go through the different things that took place. He says first his body temperature changed, and then hypothermia. Like, he went through all of the changes of what happened before he got to the area of danger of death. And so he said, I went through all of that to tell you, no matter what you face, if it becomes overwhelming, what makes the difference in survival is how long you stay there.
Mm.
Don't stay in that type of environment too long. If it's something you have to return back to, at least step outside of it, regroup, and then step back in. But it's the amount of time you stay there. The longer you stay depressed, the more depressed you get. The longer you stay stuck, the more stuck you get. And so it's just not allowing yourself to stay in those spaces, in those negative places, negative spaces too long.
It's interesting as I'm thinking about this, and I keep telling you how proud I am of you. I can imagine what your dad's going through, how proud he is of you. I think that would be extremely emotional as well for him and for you, and for your entire family, for the things that you've gone through. And I'm sure, being the type of person that you're explaining to me that your dad is that he's probably never given up hope or given up faith, and never been like less proud of you. I bet he's been so proud of you forever. And it's almost like like all his hopes and dreams and everything's coming true because he's probably been hurt just much as you've been hurt. To see your daughter go through some of the struggles that you've gone through, I'm sure it's been very, very emotional for him. And as he sees you rise to the top with the book and meeting your son, I can imagine how emotional he is about everything going on right now. And I can imagine how proud he is of you. And it's like, you talk about vindication. This is like, I knew she had it, and I knew she would get through this. And I think it's probably extremely emotional for him. And I would love to meet him. I'm going to plan a trip to the Detroit area here in the next probably 3 months.
I'll
And
take care of everything else if you get here.
all right, deal. I'm coming because I've told Jesse for years I'm going to get there and see him. Until you're only like 2.5 hours from me, so I'm making that trip up. Yeah, I'm making that trip up. I'm going to come and see you. Question number 5 is, what have you read that I should read?
The Shack.
I've never read it.
Oh,
Never heard of it.
I won't say anything. That's just the answer.
Okay. The Shack. SHACK, right?
That's it.
All right. Okay. I'll look it up. When we get off this call, I'll look it up. Is it on audiobook? Hopefully it's on audiobook.
Okay. I'm sure it is. It's a very, it is the best book I ever read.
Damn. Like that's it, right? All right. You're the best. Gosh, I love you. Question number 6 is, what have you done that I should do?
Journal.
Okay. I've thought about it. And I know you are a professional journaler based on what the stories that I've heard.
I am not.
I have written 3 paragraphs ever through up till I wrote that book. But I've thought about it because the emotional experience you go through when you do write a book and you actually put it all on paper, how much I've grown and how much I've learned about myself. So, I'm going to take that up as advice because I think that would be a great idea. How has journaling affected your life?
Um, it helped me to build myself. It helped me to build myself because I've always had trust issues. So if I told something or shared something very close, dear to my heart, people would tell it. They would share it with other people. They would talk about me. They would judge me. And so um, I learned to write it on the paper because if I don't tell it, it can't be told. So
It's a great
if I
line.
wrote it on the paper, then I could go back and I could read what I wrote. And usually, when you start writing on a regular basis, you can kind of go back and your writing will reveal things that you didn't even know. You'll say, oh, wow, I'm noticing a pattern that I'm usually really depressed every Monday. Or,
Mm,
it's just things you look at in patterns and you say, wow, um, I usually write really good on the weekends, and during the week I write really sloppy. Or they're like
yeah.
really weird things that you notice about your own self because you're learning as you're writing. You're talking to yourself about yourself, and that's something we usually don't do. We usually talk about others and
Yeah.
instead of ourselves. So yeah.
I love that line. If I don't tell it, it can't be told. I pulled that out of what you were saying there, and that is powerful because I think to myself that, all the people out there listening to the show that have gone through things like you and I have, that if you don't ever tell your story, no one will ever know. You can't
Mhm.
you can't begin to help others unless you help yourself, and you got to get that story out there. You got to get that message out there. So if anybody's listening to this, boy, oh boy, reach out to Keisha and she can help you out and she can show you how to do that for sure. Final question for Keshia Kirksey is, Keisha, how can I add value to you?
By praying for me. Prayer is so key. So many things have happened and manifested through prayer. There is power in prayer. There were times I was depressed and there were people praying for me. And although I didn't know at the time that they were praying, I could feel something tugging. And um, that was the help I needed when I couldn't help myself. It was prayer. And so I welcome prayers. I always need them because I'm always healing. So prayer.
I will pray for you. I promise you, I will pray for you for sure.
Thank
I,
you.
I think prayers are always important, but I think what you're
Mhm.
going through now is more important than ever. Um, y- you got one hell of a next few months coming at you, and I can't wait to watch it. And you know what you could do for me? Hey, that last question is how can I add value to you? You know what you could add value to me is by, I know you mentioned journaling, but I would like to see you more on social media with more videos because your message is so powerful, and you could tell your story about what you're going through emotionally, almost like a video journal. I would love to see that. I think that would be a game changer. I think it would inspire so many people around the world to hear, because you're so well spoken, and you speak from the heart and you're
Mm.
genuine, that every day isn't going to be sunshine and rainbows for the next 2-3 months. So you're going to have extremely tough times coming up. But if you can video journal this stuff and tell your story emotionally, I think you're 10x in your message. You're 10x in other people's inspiration. You're allowing them to know that it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and how you work your way through it, because you've done so much in your life. You've worked your way through everything,
Mm.
and here you are.
To God be the glory. I couldn't have done it without God's grace and his love. I'm telling you.
Well, absolutely. I believe you. I mean, I am in the Keshia Kirksey camp for sure. And this has probably been my favorite podcast I've ever done ever. And I've done close to
Oh, thank you.
500. It's not
Oh,
close.
wow.
This is um this is unbelievable. And I'm gonna share this as much as I possibly can. And I would encourage everybody else out there to share this message. Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. I mean, and find Keshia. Keshia, tell everybody where they can find you.
Thank you. Okay. I am Keshia Kirksey. See how that's spelled?
Oh yeah.
All righty. So I can be found on Facebook at Keshia Kirksey. I also have an email, KeshiaKirksey@yahoo.com. I have a website, www.keshiakirksey.com. I also have a here. This is all new. So reading the book or writing the book, I opened up doors for me to do other things. So now I have a PO box and all that stuff.
Check you
But
out.
I have Keshia Kirksey at PO Box 214-214, Auburn Hills, Michigan 48321. And my business line is 734-215-5564.
You had to put those cheaters on, didn't you?
I did.
Well, hey, make sure you send me that information. I'll put it in the show notes as well, so everybody can find it. This message will be out on YouTube. It'll be up on Facebook here. Sorry I couldn't get it live. I apologize, but it's going to go up tonight for sure. YouTube, it'll be on it'll be on, obviously on the podcast, but you can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, Pandora, Google Play. I mean, anything that's out there, you'll be able to find this message. Search Keshia, search Jeremy, you'll find it. I say this in every single episode, and I mean it more than ever. And again, this message, what Keshia's saying, is resonating with that. But you've got greatness within, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. No matter where you are in your life,
Thank you.
you've got greatness within. Like always, this is the positive side.